Okay, first of all, it's what a special two Mishnayos to be able to dedicate to Saba's father on his yahrzeit, Menachem Mendel ben Chaim. It's the last two Mishnayos in Bava Basra. I don't have an explanation of why these Mishnayos are incredibly long. We really don't understand why some Mishnayos Rabbi Yehuda Anasi decided to make so long. It's just ending off with a bang. I also have a particular simcha here today, as I'm able to greet my dear friend, Dr. Les Abrahams, who's here. Les, it's wonderful to have you. Les finish Shas with me twice, never missing a night, really with a busy dental practice. He was never not by the share, and we also had the pleasure of playing ball together for last. You think it's a quarter of a century?
Yeah, at least
a quarter of a century. Really. So, Les, it's a pleasure to have you here in the shul, and
it was my pleasure to be here.
yeah, it's I always talk about edel people. There's just no English equivalent to the word edelkeit. There's just no English equivalent. And if you want to find an English equivalent, no, it's more than refined, it's more than gentle. It's a synthesis maybe of refined and gentleness, maybe. But even then, so Dr. Les Abrahams is a good English word for edelkeit. We are also dedicated by the Fisher family. Ili Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perl Bas Ruvain, by Ili Nishmas David ben Chaim L'Refu Shalema for Yomis Mechai Yisrael for the Schusa Babram Binyam Ben Ishmael Malki Yehudis, by Yo Klugman and family L'Refu Shalema for Moshe Meir ben Esther Fadel and Meir ben Chaya Sarah. So the Mishnah starts off. Shnei Achim, you have two brothers, Reuven and Shimon. Echad Ani ve'echad Asher. One is poor and one is rich. And their father died, leaving them a bathhouse or an olive press. So asan l'schar, if the father used to rent it out, so then they continue renting it out to the happiness of the poor person, because he doesn't have any olives to press of his own, and he doesn't have any servants to bring wood for the bathhouse. But that he could insist that we continued using it the way the father used it, and they split the rental. However, if the father used it privately for his own use, so then the rich brother could insist that I still want it to be used privately. The rich brother tells to the poor brother, Kachloch avodim, somehow get servants to help you bathe in the bathhouse. Kachloch zeisim, and find olives, and use it, because I'm not renting it out. I could insist that we do it privately the way our father used it. Nor does the poor brother, have the right to say to him, either you buy me out or I'll buy you out, because since he can't buy him out, he can't say goydai agud. So the poor brother in this case is not in a really good position. Now, shnayim shoya be'er achas, if there are two people, a small little shtetl in the hamlet of Shnipashak, there are two Yosef ben Shimons. Shnayim shoya be'er achas, shem echad Yosef ben Shimon, v'shem achar Yosef ben Shimon. They both have the same name and the same father's name. So they can't produce an IOU note one on the other. Because when Yosef ben Shimon says, you see, it says you owe me money. So he says, what are you talking about? It was just the opposite. You owed me money, you paid me, and I returned you the shtar. Right? So there's no way for them to prove who owes who. So if it's two Yosef and Shimon's in one city, they can't produce IOU note one on the other. And if our infamous Yaakov comes to one of them with an IOU note saying, you owe me money, the Yosef ben Shimon says, it's not me, it's the other one. And he goes to the other one, he's not me, it's the other one. Now, if Yaakov finds amongst his papers a receipt that says Shtorei Shel Yosef ben Shimon Perua, the document of Yosef ben Shimon is paid up, then all his documents of Yosef ben Shimon he can't collect with because he doesn't know which one is which. Shtorei Shneim Perua. Now, what do you do? So Kate said, Yasu, how do you get out of this pickle? So you shaleshu. So if one is Yosef ben Shimon ben Dun, and the other one is Yosef ben Shimon ben Gad, so this way you go a third generation, and then you don't have a problem. But what if im hayu mishalashim? What if they're both Yosef ben Shimon ben Gad? So then yichtavu siman. Then make a siman. Yosef ben Shimon the tall, or Yosef ben Shimon the short. V'im hayu misamanim. What if they're both tall or both short? Then yichtavu kayin. If one of them is a kayin or one of them is a Levi, so you got to look. Be practical. You got to look for something. Now you realize that this Mishnah is already long, but it keeps on going. Ha'imel l'bnai, a dying man says, "Shtar bein shtaroisai perua." One of the documents amongst my documents is paid up, and then he dies. Ve'eni yoidei ezel, we don't know which one it is. Then shtar is kulan pruan. Then he can't collect with any of them, because the heirs can't collect because he said one of them is paid up, unless he has two shtaras on Yaakov. So then the heirs could collect a smaller amount. Nimtzal echad sham shnayim, if there's two documents against Yaakov, hagadol perua, the bigger one is paid up, hakot nein perua. Keep on going. Hamalve es chaveiroi al yedei arav. I lend Yaakov $1,000, and Les agrees to be the guarantor. That if Yaakov doesn't pay, Les doesn't know Yaakov, so if Yaakov doesn't pay, then Les will guarantee it. Lo yipareya min ha'arav. I can't go first to Les, because first I have to exhaust all my abilities to collect from Yaakov before I go to the guarantor. However, if Les said, V'im Omar al Menashe Pora Mimisha Erza, if I stipulated I'm giving him the loan, I could collect to whomever I want, then Yipareya Minarav. Then I could go and collect from Les. Now the Gemara says that there's a Chsurei Mechsira over here. There's something missing in the text. That's all we need with such a long Mishnah. But there's something missing. And the Gemara says that the Mishnah introduces something called an Orav Kablan. What's an Orav Kablan? An Orav Kablan is Les says, give Yaakov the money and I'll pay. If Les said that, then I could, according to the Tanakama, I could go straight to Les, because it's like Les took the loan. He said, give Yaakov the money and I'll pay for it. But even then, Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, Im yesh nechasim l'layver, Reb Shimon Gamliel disagrees and says that if Yaakov has money, ben kach or ben kach, even in the case of an Arav Kablan, lo yipareya min Arav. I don't go to Les first, I go to the person who I gave the money to first. Now, here's an interesting case. You see, people could be so tricky. V'chein hoye Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer. Let's say, ha'orev le'isha b'ksuvasa. Let's say Chatzkel married Suri. And when Chatzkel married Suri, Les, who was part Shatkin, guaranteed the ksuva. He said, look, Suri, if you get divorced and Chatzkel bums out, I'll pay your marriage settlement. Les came the right day, right? I'll pay the marriage settlement. He's a very nice guy, right? So, ha'orav le'isha b'ksuvasa, And then Chatzkel divorces Suri. What they do is they make Chatzkel swear that he's not going to benefit from Suri anymore. And that way he can't take her back. Because otherwise this might be a conspiracy just to get money from Les. He'll divorce Suri. Les will pay the ksuva. And then he'll take Suri back. Right? So they'll have wheedled the money out of Les. So then, Yadirena Hana, we make Chatzkel swear that he's not going to benefit from Suri anymore, that he shouldn't be able to take Suri back. Shema Yasa Knunya, lest they do a conspiracy al Nechosim Shelzeh against Les's money, V'yazer es Ishtay. And then after Les pays the marriage settlement, Chatzkel will take Suri back and they'll go, around the world. Okay, that's one Mishnah. Next Mishnah, the final Mishnah in Bava Basra. Les knows the days to pick when he wants to get his money's worth. Les, it's been a while since I had you in a shir. It's really, really good. Now, we know that if I give Yaakov a loan, here it's already, now we'll talk more realistic. He takes a $250,000 loan from me. Now, the din is that the shtar has a date. Now, that date is really important because then he has assets. After he takes the loan from me, he sells a property to Dr. Rothstein. If when I come to him and he can't pay me the $250,000, I can go after his assets that are after the date of the shtar, because I have a lien on all his assets. So I could take the property away from Dr. Rothstein. The properties that he sold are called Nechosim Mishubadim, mortgage properties. But the only time I have a lien on mortgage properties is only if it's a loan with a document. Because if it's a loan with a document, this is critical. If it's a loan with a document, then when Dr. Rothstein did a title search, he would find it. So therefore, let's see it inside. Hamalve es chavere b'shtar, if I gave Yaakov a loan with a document, then goyva min nechosim mishabadim, I could collect for mortgage properties. Al yidei edim, but if there are only two witnesses that saw the loan are not enough to make a curl, not enough to make it known that Dr. Rothstein could find it with a property search, then goyva min nechosim b'nei chayrin, I can only collect from his free assets. I can't go after the buyers. If I just have an IOU note in Yaakov's handwriting that he owes me $250,000, again, I can only collect from his free assets. Now, let's go back to Les. There's a document that says that Yaakov owns me $250,000. Then it's signed by witnesses. After the witnesses, there's a guarantee from Les that he's guaranteeing the loan. So, if the guarantor is on the bottom of the document after the witness is signed, so I could only go to Les and collect from Les's free assets. In other words, if Yaakov fails on paying, I could go to the guarantor, but I can only go to Les's free assets. I can't go to his mortgage property because it was signed after the witnesses. Now, Rabbi Yishmael says, Rabbi Yishmael, this incident came before Rabbi Yishmael, I could go after the free properties of the guarantor. Comes along Ben Nanas, this is the great Rav Shimon Ben Nanas. We'll see, he was such an expert in Yodin. He was such an expert. Comes along with Shimon Nanas and it says, I can't collect anything from Les. Because since he signed after the signature of the witnesses, it means that the loan wasn't given because of him. And if the loan wasn't given because of him, he's not meshubed to do anything. Let's see it inside. I can collect from mortgage, but I can't even collect from Les himself. And he compares it, Amalei Lama, they ask him why. Amalei, let's say, Hari Chainik es Echad B'Shuk. Let's say I was strangling, let's say, who's strong over here? Reb Yafi was strangling Yaakov in the shuk. Right? And Les finds him. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. I'll pay the money. But the loan was already given. Potter. Because the loan wasn't given because of Les. Listen, Les just wanted to save Yaakov's life. He doesn't even know him. Because it wasn't given as a loan because of Les. The same thing is true. If the Arav is after the signatures, the loan wasn't given because of Les. Ela'ezo Arav Shu Chayiv. When is the guarantor Chayiv? When he says, Halveyu v'ani noisenlach, given the loan and I'll be responsible, Chayiv. Shekein alemenasa hilveyu. Because there, on his trust, he gave the loan. Amr B'Yishmael, haroitze sheyakim. Let's say somebody wants to become smart. What do you do if you want to become smart? Yasik b'dinei mamres. Do what we're doing. Learn Nezikin. Learn Torts. Learn Bava Kama, Bava Metzia, Bava Basra. She'ein loch miktsayir b'Torah gadol mehem. There's no section of Shas that's as deep as them. She'ein kemayin manogvei. It's like a fountain that keeps on bubbling. There's so many applications. There's so many branches. And you want a good Rebbe in Dinei Mamanas? Yeshamesh Shimon ben Anas. Go and learn from Shimon ben Anas, who is a great expert in the laws of Mamanas. Mazel tov, everybody. Hanulach Masechtas Bava Basra. Hanulach Masechtas Bava Basra. Hanulach Masechtas Bava Basra. Boy, that was almost like a daf. I want to say tonight, they'll be here in the shul a Chumashir. I'm giving it live tonight at 8:45. Everybody is invited, and it'll be on Zoom also. And tomorrow, I hope to restart saying the daf at 8:00 in Masechta Sanhedrin. No, don't not yet. Masechta Sanhedrin. Just to mention for those that are listening on any time on Kol Lashon, if you do want to sponsor Masechta Sanhedrin, call me at 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com.